Alright guys, we're going to do an updated version of the Canadian flick. I'm going to start getting into some more precise details on how to actually do the flick. The previous video that I had made kind of talked about it from a high level. I really want to get into the details on how the flick is done. Before you start trying to do the flick will not work on what I'll call standard house axes. And you'll see the huge difference between the profiles on why it will not work. This profile is thick, it needs to be sharpened to an extreme point. You'll see the one on the right is extremely sharp to the point where if I slide down I'll get stitches. This one, not so much. So you have the difference in axes. In order for the flick to work, you have to have not only a sharp axe, but it has to actually be lighted. The flick is going to be extremely difficult to do on an all metal axe. You do not want to be using this type of an axe for a flick. There's way too much weight going on down here and then up at the head. What you want to do for the flick is you want to have a wooden handle, something that can be released nicely, and you have the majority of the weight here. So when you actually do the flick, the axe actually rotates by itself. It will do it all on its own. You don't need much power because you have the sharpness and then you have the weight at the top. Now, when you do the flick, it's important that your arm isn't coming around. You're not doing a baseball throw, you're not tossing a baseball, you're actually more tossing a dart. And it has to be in that precision moment or in a precision throw where it's actually just straight release. What you do to line up, and I didn't talk about this last time, is when you're lining up to do the flick, I put the right foot aiming right towards the target. On this occasion, I'm going for the bullseye. So the right foot is literally right at the bullseye. And you might be wondering, why is my right foot, why am I not centered, or why is the bullseye not in the center? If you keep it in the center, you're now doing the flick inward. You do not want to do it inward, you want to keep it straight. So you're literally doing this motion straight out and not inward, so then you have this kind of variability of where the flick might be going. So again, right foot at the target, my arm and elbow is then already targeting the bullseye. So what I'm going to do with the flick is very simple. I have my right foot lined up, I have my right arm lined up, I go back, it should touch my shoulder or almost touch my shoulder, and you'll see that my elbow and the base of the axe is essentially pointed towards the target, and I'm going to be throwing towards the bullseye. So that's the flick motion. The hardest part that I find, and you might just, and you don't even really need you don't need an advanced axe to do it. The hardest part that I find that people have doing is just the step. And people are like, I can't get that step. I can't get the step. If you can't get the step, maybe just try it straight. I personally cannot throw. I over rotate if I don't take the step. So try different things. You don't have to step. If it's better for you, keep it straight, keep it lined up, and toss it in. I personally wouldn't do that. I think it's too difficult, and I think you lose some sort of a power and an edge in order to be able to do the flick. And I think it's much easier to do that step through. So again, if you need to just practice the step, just do it with any axe. It doesn't really matter. The whole idea is that you're just practicing that step follow through. And it doesn't matter what you end up shooting, just all you have to do is get that motion. Once you get the motion down, again, right foot pointed, straight on, you take a step, throw, release. And so with the flick, you don't get much variability. It's very rare for me to get outside of this region ever. And that's because I'm not coming across it like a baseball. I'm not coming across it. I'm not overhanding it. I'm not sticking my elbow out. I keep it very consistent and inward, and you're literally tossing it. And again, the thing that works well with the flick is a very sharp axe, and that's really the only way that throw will work. So again, if I were to adjust it for, let's say, the kill shot, all I'm going to do is keep the exact same throw. I haven't changed anything. But since my target is higher, I move it higher. So when it was the bullseye, I had it lower. Now I have it higher. I do the same step motion. I like to slow it down a little bit for the kill shot. And then you have a more precision-based throw. So again, the motion did not change at all. All I did for the kill shot is I went from going like this to the bullseye to up here for the kill shot. I step through, I have that elbow, everything straight, and I line it up right towards the target. So that is, I would call the more advanced version of the flick. The main component to kind of take away from it is the fact that since you're throwing straight, you need to make sure your elbow is kept straight and you're throwing outward. There's no variability in the elbow, and you're making sure that the right foot is lined up right to the target, and you're flicking forward right to that target. So if it's higher, you lift the axe higher, but you should not be changing form, you should not be changing throw, you should not be doing anything differently when you're going for the kill shot or the bullseye. It should be the exact same motion, and think of the idea for those who are golfers, you never want to change your swing. Whatever the swing is for the pitching wedge should be the same thing that you're using for your hybrids, which you're using for the driver. It's just a different club. In this case, the only thing that's different is the height of the axe. So the summary, right foot, line it up with the target because you're shooting straight, and you flick it back, bring it to your shoulder, step, release. That's the advanced version of the flick. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know.